It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
We made it.
We're back.
Hey, welcome to Dart Talk. It's a Tuesday. What is today?
The 19th.
19th,
Tuesday the 19th.
2016.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I have now been doing this show over 5 years.
I thought you said 6.
Well, I'm starting my 6th year.
Oh,
so
my
I've
bad.
completed
My bad.
5.
Yeah.
I should get a pin or something, don't you think?
We'll work on that.
Anyway.
I didn't want to say anything, but you just ruined the surprise. But, you know, Sam, the intern's already trying to come up with something. But
that'd be nice. That'd be nice. He hasn't lifted a finger since
He's
we
been
hired
busy
him.
working on your pin.
He's probably making it out of something radioactive. It's going to be big trouble.
Kryptonite.
Let's just Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. This might be kind of a crazy show. It's kind of late at night.
How do we start this show? We don't remember.
I don't know. Disclaim
Are you
something.
ready?
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
And we wish you luck with that. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Did you play golf since the last show? When was the last show? What has it been? 2 weeks?
We missed a week.
Did we miss a week?
So, yeah.
We tried last week. We tried really hard.
I played the last 2 Sundays. My life keeps getting in the way of playing on Tuesdays with you. It's
killing me, man.
But
killing me small.
Oh, no, and then I played Wednesday at Ridgemore.
How was that? How was the Ridgemore thing?
A lot of fun.
I forgot to ask you about that.
It was fun.
Was there a lot of NS?
No.
NS?
No, it was actually very lame.
Really?
Yeah. It was.
That's too bad.
Yeah. But there was a lot of drinks flowing and a lot of golf, and by the time I was on the 17th hole, I was like, I can't putt anymore. But we had a good time. We didn't even come close to winning, but we had a lot of fun.
I went out to the range once. My wrist is better. It doesn't hurt all the time now. So
well, that's good.
So, but I can't really let go and really, get into the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brother Pete came out.
To the range?
Yeah. He teed up a ball 1.5 inches off the ground and tried to hit a pitching wedge. And I'm just like, okay, I know you don't go to the range much, but and then I probably monkeyed around with this. He was trying to do too much at once.
Right.
I think, so. And at one point I tell him, you need to keep your balance. And he's like, yeah, but I have a balance problem. And I'm like, oh, okay. Don't swing so hard then.
He has, vertigo?
No, because he's got an inner ear thing. So he's
Still?
having a hard time. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. The research
antibiotics
on this
aren't working?
No.
That's too bad.
It sounds bad.
So he still can't hear out of his left ear?
No. Just woke up one day. Hey.
What?
What did you say? Anyway.
Went swimming in the wrong pool.
Anyway, we got dart stuff to get to. We're going to have James Kinney on. He's going to help us out. He wants to talk about the Philadelphia CDC.
All right.
And then we gave him homework, and he got an extension. He got an extra week, but he was going to look up match stats. There was some question about, are you the top? What's the top 1% actually doing in tournaments kind of thing. But the one of my favorite tournaments, the first tournament I ever really watched back when I knew slightly less about darts than I know now, like 10, 11 years ago, was the match play in Blackpool, where I saw actually Phil Taylor get beat by John Part, where it was like Part went on this stretch where he won 5 legs in a row, and it's long format. I think back then the final was a race to 16, alternate start, and then if you're tied, you got to win by 2.
Okay.
So it's total, like, you get long rhythm, long format matches, and, a lot of high scoring, a lot of high finishes. Usually the quality play, by the finals, pretty good. I must admit, I don't think I watched it last year. But that's going on right now. It started, Saturday?
Yeah.
Is James Kinney here? James?
Don't know. We haven't asked for him yet.
James, are you here?
I'm here, ready to go.
Okay. Before I begin, Mark has one job to do before we do every show.
Oh, yeah. Would you record the show?
Yeah. Maybe I should do that. One thing to do. But in his defense, he is monitoring the Cubs-Mets game, which
exactly
probably
he has 2 things to do.
Probably more important to me than anything else going on right now.
Right.
And I didn't get a chance to go to the game today because I gave the tickets to my brother. So, Arrieta against Syndergaard, and here I am talking about darts. It's awesome. Talk about taking one for the team.
Yeah, lead off walk.
So anyway, lead off walk okay, lead off man on. Get Baez up to hit a homer. That's my plan. The match play in Blackpool had some interesting first-round matches. Let's run through them real quick. Before we start, James, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited. I just started planning my fall and winter tournament season. I think I'm going to get to those 24 tournaments that I planned on getting to, all told.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's a lot. In how many weeks?
So September, October, November, and the first week of December, I'm going to knock out 11 tournaments
in 14 weeks.
In 14 weeks,
there's 11 tournaments going on.
Yeah,
I can think of one.
No, there's. Really? So you got Colorado, Witch City, and Seacoast. Those are all BDO tournaments.
I was thinking of Witch City. I was thinking of actually popping in there.
The Witch City?
Yeah, just because I've never got a chance to tromp around Boston.
Where's it at?
Well, it's actually outside of Boston.
Which city is it in?
Well, which city? Oh, this is going to be tough.
WITC.
This is going to be tough. I can already tell. I don't know if I have what it takes to do this show anymore.
That's a lot.
Well, you should probably plan early because that hotel sells out quick.
Yeah, that's the one where they actually rent an entire hotel in Nashville, and it's entirely populated by dart players. It's probably not safe for most humans, but I kind of thought it would be a fun tournament to pop into, just because then I could go to Boston Common and go to Cambridge and look at some of the.
Why did you just say Nashville?
No, he said Nashville. He didn't mean Nashville. He meant Boston.
I meant Boston.
Okay.
I said Nashville.
Yep. You did.
I've been to Nashville 100 times.
I know.
How does Nashville have Boston
I screwed you up with the
Commons?
Which city? Which city's it in? And now all of a sudden you went to Nashville.
You're supposed to keep the train on the tracks.
I'm sorry.
You got 2 jobs to do. One is keep the train on the tracks.
The other is to keep you up to speed on what's going on in the Mets Cubs game.
Right.
Yeah, which is more important.
No,
so if you can only do
really.
one, if multitasking is a challenge, then don't tell me that's not a double play ball.
No. First and second, nobody out.
All right, great.
I actually started working on that my schedule over the weekend, and I completely canceled all of August because I'm not going to the PDC. I'm not going to the PDC qualifier. I'm not going to Stanford. I'm just going to do the CDC event. I'm going to focus on the CDC event because I want to make the Continental Cup.
Yeah, I haven't gone to Stanford.
Stanford.
Yeah, there's an M there. I got an email on the PDC thing, and I'm like, this is just not the year for me. Although I threw a lot of ton 80s last night. I threw a ton 80. I was on 211 and I threw a ton 80
Nice.
and got yelled at. I used to do that to my teammates all the time. What would you do that for? I'm like, because I felt like throwing a ton 80. That's why.
And it can really offset your opponent.
I love.
Well, actually, she was on 32, and she took it out in the next start and kind of gave me a smirk. So
Yeah, that's
whatever.
fair. You could try and offset your opponent with a 180, leave you
31.
31. Exactly. And if it doesn't offset your opponent, they can look at you and go, yeah, but I plan to do that. I'm gonna go up and throw another 1080. I mean,
here's the kind of player it would work on, right? If you're on 90, what was I on? 91 with one dart, and I throw a trip 20 to leave 31. The kind of player that it would bug would be like a Phil Taylor, who is sort of like critiquing your game as he's beating you.
Wait a
minute.
You would
do something. You would do. Hang on. Let me finish. Let me finish. Hang on. Let me finish. So,
okay.
What you want to do when you play a guy like Taylor is do unorthodox things that offends his darting sensibility, because you'll pull his focus away from his own game, and he might miss a dart.
I don't know that that's Phil Taylor. I honestly, because he'll be on 306 and throw 1040 every time. He will.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you offend him if you're on 306 and you do the same thing he does?
Because he's the kind of guy that, wants to get into your head. The reason that he throws ton 40s on 306 is because he doesn't think you can get out.
Oh, no. See, I think he throws 1040 on 306 because he thinks he's really going to hit a 1080, and he doesn't care.
No, I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it when he... No. That's just wrong. I've seen him do it when he misses the first start.
Yeah, that's my point. Why would you ever start 306 on your first start with trip 20? Anybody. Your first start trip 19.
Well, again, I'm telling you why he does it. I'm not telling you why he should or shouldn't do it. We all know you shouldn't do it, right?
Fair enough. All right.
I
don't think it's that reason. I just think he just doesn't care. He spent his entire career up until like 2 or 3 years ago just hitting everything he wants to hit, knowing nobody can match it, and just doing what he does.
I don't know. I think I've seen him do things that really get under his opponent's skin. And so, like the game within the game with a guy like Taylor, doing stuff like that, I think would help you. It's not going to help you against most players. It's not going to help you against a player who's oblivious to what you're actually supposed to be shooting at. And it's not going to help you against a player that is sitting on a double and doesn't care what you hit, because I'm just going to hit the double anyway. So, I mean, there's a bunch of players that I don't think it's going to work. But there's a certain kind of player, especially a Virgo, where that kind of thing may work. The people that, I don't know if you have people like this in Columbus, but, there are people in Chicago that literally, after you beat them, will criticize the way you beat them.
Well, we have people like that in every city.
Oh, do you have that?
Yeah.
Those people are a lot of fun.
They're all over the place.
I remember, what was I on? I was on 101. I was playing mixed doubles against Darren and Stacy, and I was on 101, and I threw a fat 19, then I went double bull, double 16, and immediately won the match, and then Darren was yelling at me that I don't know how to play, and what was I doing going for the double bull, and I'm like...
But you should have went trip 14, right?
Well, that's what Darren said.
Yeah, that's what I would have said, but that's beside the point.
I'm like, geez, I don't know what to tell you, Darren. Play some guys from Europe. They don't do that either.
In fairness, after the match, I wouldn't have said anything, but I would have thought in my head, yeah, you should probably win the triple 14, but I would never have said anything.
Well, yeah, there is this sort of thing is like, why are you coaching up guys that may beat you next time? I mean, there is that element that you could probably,
well, aren't you better off just saying, well, hey, nice shot. I hope you continue to do that every time you're on that number?
Yeah, I don't know. People get the after game talk in dart matches. If you just sort of like, if no one was allowed to talk to each other for 5 minutes after a dart match, I think 90% of all the ill feelings in darts
would go away. Sure,
you are absolutely correct.
It's like I have, there are people I really like personally that I have seen act like complete jerks after a dart match, win or lose.
Yep.
Some of them are just jerks when they win, and some of them are jerks when they lose. But as people, I don't consider them jerks. It just
No, I absolutely
brings
agree. I
out
see
the
that a
worst in
lot
people
actually
sometimes.
nowadays.
Yeah. So it's kind of an odd thing. Where are we on time?
We're due for a break. If you want,
All right, let's take a
Way
quick
over.
break. A quick break, James. Mute during the music, and then we'll come back and we will talk about the match play at Blackpool. You listen to Dart
Sounds
Talk,
great.
Mystery Mark, Steve P. James Kinney's here, and we'll be back in a second.
The views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Okay, back for the second quarter of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Thanks for James Kinney. He's in the wings here. And
quick question.
Oh, question from the chat room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask James about 68 with 3 darts left. Big old Philly shot.
68 with 3 darts left. Tell me you didn't go 16, James.
No, I didn't. I went. I would assume with 3 darts left, I'm going to go with triple 12.
Really?
Yeah.
Why on earth would you do that?
Triple 12?
Yeah.
Because you can run straight across the board. Single 12 on 68 leaves you 56, 20, double 18. You go straight across the board. It's the same line. Easy shot.
All right.
68.
Well,
36 leaves you 32.
Yeah, so that's not straight across.
Well, no, that's straight down for the most part,
not
right? But if you hit the
down.
single 12,
It's
it's
like
a single
it's
20,
7 or 8 o'clock.
double 18, straight across.
Well, okay. I would classify that as an unorthodox approach to 68.
Well, I had somebody show me that about 18 months ago, and I kind of liked it, so I've stuck with it.
I used to play
Now-
like 121 with Dieter Schutz, and he would throw stuff like that, and he would just do it just to make me work harder doing the math. That I was convinced that if we were actually playing for real, he wouldn't do that.
In fairness, I've had an issue.
Yeah, but
hitting
if you hit the
double
triple, you have
16 lately.
32.
Say again?
Yep.
If you hit the triple, you have 32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
In
not
fairness,
wild about
I've
it.
had an issue with 32 lately, so I've been shooting at 48-20.
That's a little more. That's like a James Wade. I want my double 20 mommy shot. I guess it works. I
It
just
depends.
shoot.
It really outshot. We can
Everything
I'm not
works
sure-
if you hit it.
Well, yeah, I'm not
It
sure
doesn't
trip
matter.
20 double 4 is all that hard. I mean,
Well,
let's not make the game
that's
too
moving
difficult.
that's moving from the same angle that he's talking about.
Well, he's
too,
talking
so.
about 56, throw a high 20, and throw double 18. I mean, I do that. On
No, I know.
76, I'll do
so
that
you're,
a lot.
You're
but-
trip 12, then you're 20, and you're double 18. So, but what's wrong with trip 20, double 8? It's the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
kind of what my point is.
Right.
But they're closer together. It's the same thing I was I'm playing
Well,
my
a
nightly
triple 20 and a double 4 is not closer together than a single 20 and a double 18.
Well, no, it's not.
Listen,
I was
I
talking
can
about the 12.
when I'm
Okay.
warming up and I'm working out my outshots, warming up for an event, an 01, especially on a CDC weekend. If I have a problem with one double, let's say it's 32, I'm going to avoid that. I'm going to set myself up for 40-20 most of the time, or 28 or 24. I'm gonna skew that based on how I'm feeling on that shot, based on how I'm warming up. So
Yeah, pretty sure we covered this in episode 77.
we really did.
Yeah, episode 77, I believe, was the one where I said I was engaged to double 16 and then dumped her for double 20. Then she found out and wouldn't take me back. So I had like a slight affair with double 18. That's what made her jealous. She didn't care about double 20, but when I started for going double 18, she's like, no, come back to me, honey. And then, like, me and double 16 were married ever since.
Outshots are a very, very personal thing for all players, and it's very personal on a time basis. What am I really hitting well on at this time? And then you have to, if you really want to be a great player, cater yourself around that. That's what I think. So right now I'm catering myself around 40, 20, 10. Honestly, because I'm having issues with 32.
I get that. I mean, I get that, I think the way I used to put it was, some days were 32 days and some days were 40 days. But the fact is that what I ultimately decided is if I'm having a problem with a double, there's something technical that I'm not doing right. because I should be able to
Or
stand
mental.
there and hit them all.
Right.
Yeah, see, or mental. Can it just be mental? Can it be not technical?
No. No. Usually, I try to explain this to somebody. When you're constantly throwing at the 20, which is what happens to 0-1 players, when you start trying to throw at the corners of the board and you have to change your alignment, people have problems with that. There's easy fixes for it, but basically you should be able to go up to the board and have no problem going double 20, double 3, double 11, double 6. You should be able to hit anything. So if you're having an issue with a double, I get, if this is an ongoing thing and you don't trust it, then okay, I'm going to go to the double I trust. Yeah, that's fine. But ultimately, you can't let that dictate your game. That needs to be addressed. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you play 9-ball,
unless
you're
you're playing 11
with
tournaments in 14
No,
weeks, you just don't
Well,
have time to address
well,
it.
that's what the thing was with the off season.
Right.
Remember, I was like, how come there's no off season? Because this is when you work on stuff.
Right.
This is how you
and
progress
you
as a
should
player.
deal with those things on the off season. If you're having issues like I am right now at 32, I'm dealing that with my practice sessions. I'm dealing with that in league. I'm setting myself up in league play, an important league play, but league play to hit that shot, and I need to learn how to again hit that shot.
Throw
But if
lefty.
I'm in a tournament situation, I'm setting myself up for 40 and 20 or 28, 36. I am avoiding the 16 because I am just right now just miserable at it.
All right. Well, we're avoiding the
Well-
PDC right now.
Well,
Would you like
Yeah,
to-
we are.
no, hang on. let me just ask him this before we move on. What have you done to address the 16 problem?
Unfortunately, I haven't had time to address it, but the way I've done it habitually in the past is just I go in and I just start. I play my outshot solitaire games, and every time where the percentages tell me I should leave 32, I should leave 16, I'm leaving myself with that shot and I'm hitting that shot. That's how I address it. But I'm only doing that when I'm playing practice or I'm in league play. I'm not doing it when I'm playing in tournaments. In tournaments, I'm still setting myself up for 40, 20, 10, 28, 36. I'm setting myself up for those finishes.
Well, that's I don't know what to tell you. That's like a golfer who can't fade the ball. There's going to be certain
Right.
holes that you're really going to hurt yourself.
No, there are going to be certain holes where you have to drive it down the middle and take the longer shot to the green.
That's hurting yourself.
Whether it's
making
hurting
it-
yourself
when
or
you
not,
make the game
I am going to
harder
hit the
on
center of the green
yourself,
every time.
when you're making the game harder on yourself, you're
Well,
hurting
not everybody
yourself.
has every shot.
Exactly.
Not every golfer has every shot.
You're talking about hitting a double. You're not
No,
talking about
I'm
hitting
talking
like
about-
Well,
no.
you
through
just-
the trees.
You
and
just
then
made the analogy of a golfer. Not every golfer has that shot. Not every golfer
Well,
can hook the ball.
that was not a great analogy.
So,
not every
anyway.
golfer can work the ball. I
Okay.
get that, but the analogy is like if you're making your outshots harder on yourself, you're hurting yourself. You should
No,
be
I
making
disagree.
it easy
I
on
disagree.
yourself.
I think if you right now, every time you try to fade one in when you're naturally a draw shooter on the golf course and you can't fade it in, no, you take a 2-iron, you draw it into the spot, and you take 30, 40, 50
It
more
It
yards.
wasn't a very good.
But he's
golf
making. But
analogy wasn't
okay.
that
But
good,
what he's. But what you're saying is okay. But he's making it easier on himself at this point in time by setting himself up with 40 or 28. That's
Exactly.
making it easier on himself.
Well, I don't
Exactly.
consider making it easier on yourself when now you have to go and throw different sequences to get to a number that is more difficult to get to than something else. Right,
No, it's not more difficult to get to 40 than it is 32. Now, and you can't compare golf to darts that
It was
way.
a bad
It's
analogy.
just-
I said that already.
Okay.
You want me to write it in stone? It wasn't a good
Right.
analogy.
We
All
got
right.
a black marker. Put it
The
on that
point I
Cubs
wanted
hat
to
right
make
there.
was don't make the game harder for yourself.
Right.
But there's no it's
In
no
whatever
harder to get to
way,
40
in
than
whatever. Well,
32.
fine.
Alright.
Okay. In whatever way you're making the game harder on yourself, stop doing it.
Anyway, in the first round of the PDC
Yeah,
on
let's get
Saturday,
let's get to the match play.
Let's go with that.
started on Saturday,
What
July 16th. You
All
guys
right.
can keep talking above me if you want, but
We'll be background. We'll be like the background music.
The Bet Victor World Match Play.
Okay.
First round. Vincent Vandervoort loses to Kyle Anderson 10-4.
Surprise?
Was that a question?
That's a question to James.
Oh, okay.
Are you surprised by that result?
I'm not.
Vandervoort
Kyle's
getting
been playing
smoked?
really well lately, and he played really well in that match. So I'm not really surprised about that outcome, and he's been very confident lately.
I look at Vandervoort as being a little bit mental and really clunky. And I know when he gets it going, you've seen good results from him, but he's too scattershot for me. I have been on the board next to him, watching him warm up with a never-ending string of 41s and 43s.
You can't watch.
And I'm just sort of like, what are you doing, dude? And then he's out in the first round, and I'm like, well, I'm not surprised.
He's one of those guys you can't actually watch when you're playing against him. You have to kind of look down at your feet and let him do his thing. And when you see him walk back, walk up the line and do your
thing. Luckily
it
doesn't take long. I mean, he's one of the faster players.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where he's never going to slow you up. So he seems like a nice enough guy. I just, watching him get smoked by Kyle Anderson surprises me not in the least. I'm sure he's ranked higher.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah. Okay. Just kind of curious what your take on
Robert Thornton
that.
beat Josh Payne 10-7.
Bring in the pain. Bringer of rain. Robert Thornton, the Thorn.
Thornton with his first one in 7 tries. So you gotta give the guy props.
Where do you rank him? Top 10, top 20, top 30? What do you think of Thornton?
God. He's in the top 16, but I'm not entirely sure he belongs there. He's very streaky when he plays. He's very streaky. When he gets on his form and everything's just automatic, it goes great. But when he's not on his form, it's scatter darts like everywhere.
Yeah, it's
like me.
A baseball analogy coming since I failed so miserably with the golf. Pitching. Winning with your B stuff, or winning with your C stuff, or winning when you don't have your A game.
Yeah.
Right. Thornton is not a guy who wins without his A game. So he's Samardzija. He'll get hammered.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't have his A game. But I always liked his approach.
But the
he's
A
a nice guy.
Really good.
Yeah, his A game. Everybody's A game. Almost anybody whose name you're going to read, if they have their A game, they have an excellent chance of winning against everybody but 4 or 5 guys.
Well,
yeah.
In fairness, the Premier League, I mean, he just got trounced, and he just never got settled in Premier League last year. And it's just one of those things where it seems like he's the kind of guy that has to be comfortable every time he's playing, and he doesn't always seem comfortable. I just that's kind of how I see that one.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who plays well when they're uncomfortable. I know people who complain a lot when they're uncomfortable, but I don't know anybody that plays well uncomfortable in any sport at all.
Oh, yeah, I see plenty of PDC players that don't look like themselves. I mean, a great Van Barneveld's he never looks really totally comfortable. He's smooth all the time, but if you look at his facial expressions, he's never really, I don't know. There's just so many different expressions. You never can see how he's settled in.
Well, I don't know.
To be honest.
I've seen him look awfully comfortable a bunch of times. Like when he beat Taylor in the final, and when he checked out that 170 after literally getting killed, and then he checked out a 170, I think, to win the set. He looked comfortable after that. He looked like he was in a rocking chair.
But you're picking out 1 or 2 times. I think most of the time you never can really gauge how it is. It's hard to explain.
Okay. No, I think I know what you mean. I mean, you can't climb into these guys' heads. All you can do is kind of observe. But, thinking about all the guys you've played with in the States and stuff, and even in your leagues and stuff like that, I mean, the more comfortable a player is, the better they play, and vice versa. That's what happens when you play darts. When the other guy's hitting everything, suddenly you're not so comfortable, and suddenly you can't
start
hit
pressing.
anything.
Yeah,
you start pressing. Yeah, that's part of competing.
Right.
Is not panicking or not pressing if you fall behind. Did you see that final round at Royal Troon?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I didn't. I saw the highlights because actually
They replayed it on Monday.
I was on the golf course.
Yeah.
I was on the golf course while they were. I was checking updates and just seeing those two, and then I saw the highlights. I was just like, it was ridiculous.
One of the few great sports writers that's still around is Dan Jenkins, and he was tweeting, and I think he was there, and he tweeted every like 20 minutes or something, but the one thing he said was, I've never seen a guy in a punting coma like this in my life.
Mm.
And then,
He's making everything.
Oh, he made like a 60-footer on
50.
The 18th hole.
Yeah.
50-footer or whatever.
Made a 30 on the 18th hole. He made the 50-footer.
Oh, that was only 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was after Phil drained like a 40-footer
Yeah.
to save par, where he was like left in the junk, right in the junk, barely got it on the green.
You shoot
and saved
65
par.
in the final round of a major, and you lose by 3 strokes. The guy had 10 birdies.
You lose by 3 shots. Three.
Three.
And I shot 65.
Yeah.
If
This
you
is
did get a
why-
chance
this
to
is
actually watch it,
You're
you should
not allowed
watch
to
it because
carry
it's just a
like
lot of fun to
actual
watch.
firearms on a golf course.
Right.
Right? Because maybe that guy limps home. You know?
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And the one thing that I liked about it was it wasn't a matter of Phil blew up and here's Phil blowing another golden opportunity. He played one of the best tournaments of his life.
Yeah.
And it just so happened this other guy just was like
Phil
totally
broke the course
unconscious.
Phil broke the course record and lost.
Yeah. That just doesn't happen every day.
And then, he gets beat by a guy that sets the major record for an under for a tournament.
Like the greatest score in golf
Major
history, basically.
Yeah.
Major championship history.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, why me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. He got away with a couple of things, and
I
it was
just
still
liked,
the guy played such
I liked,
an immaculate
I liked,
round.
I liked their camaraderie that you could see between the two. They're both making great shots. They're smiling amongst each other. They know they're battling, but you know what? There wasn't.
Well, and it was for like the last 2 days.
Right,
I mean,
both
they lapped
Saturday
the
and
field.
Sunday. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they made that course look like it didn't belong in the rotation, and then look at everybody else.
6 under.
Jordan Spieth is over par.
Yeah.
Rory's like right around even, and you look at these two guys.
I think Rory ended 4 under, but he's breaking clubs.
Is it possible that you could like hit 18 greens and have 18 straight putts? Because that's what it looked
Just
like.
about.
Stenson had.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is not a golf show.
All right.
we need to really get back to.
Yeah,
we
somebody
can
keep
skip
me on
to,
track, will ya?
How about this?
Caven and Van Gerwen.
We'll
right?
go back to the still on Saturday, day one, in case anybody's wondering.
This is a long tournament.
Jamie Caven, the only player not to win a leg or set.
Whitewash.
10-zip to Van Gerwen.
Yep. There's nothing really needs to be said about that match.
And then Chizzy beat Van de Pas 10-7.
Benito Van de Pas. What do you think of Benito? Do you think he, in a year he's going to be knocking on the door of top 16?
It's hard to say. I think he has the ability. He adjusts his throw a little bit too much. He's like Peter Wright. That third dart where it really needs it, he kind of adjusts his timing a little bit, and Peter Wright hits that shot every time. Benito doesn't. And that's the difference between being a great player and being a pretty good player in their level. Again, I'm talking about the PDC terms. But he seems like he hesitates on that third one a little too long, and it throws him off, where Peter Wright, he hesitates on that third one and seems to hit it like most of the time. So that's what I see the difference there. Could he be there? Sure. Do I think so? Probably not. Not in the next year anyway.
I've seen him play a handful of matches, and one of them he looked really good, and then the next time I saw him, he couldn't beat the drunk at the end of the bar. So I didn't really know what to make of the guy.
Well, that's a bit harsh. But
I played really bad.
I think he
sometimes I'm the
he has
drunk at the end of the bar, and I can still play. So, don't underestimate the drunk at the end of the bar.
No,
Just
right?
saying.
Yeah, that's your worst mistake.
They got their own darts and everything.
We've made it through Saturday, and we're due for a break.
All right, take a break. We'll come back, and we'll wrap up the Blackpool match play. Listen to Dart Talk. We'll be right back.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the second half of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Looks a little lively tonight. James Kinney's still with us. I see Jeff Dodson, who's our musical director, or music director on the show, needs help with setting up the long shots. So we'll try to address that a little bit after we finish the going through the Blackpool results. Are you back with us, James?
I am here.
Okay, good. What's day 2 looking like?
Sunday the 17th, Bunting lost to Metzer Sulovic 10-8.
Okay. What were you saying before the show about Menser?
He's been throwing. He's like steady. He doesn't really get in. He doesn't get into the semis. Always gets that quarterfinals match. He's just constantly getting through it. I think if he just gets over that Gitchy throw, God, it's so bad, that he could really become a great player.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that I buy. I mean, I look at him sometimes as if he's playing over his head in the early rounds, and then the real Menser shows up later. Maybe that's not fair. I guess you could look at it the other way, but the way he throws, I find it hard to believe that you could play top-level world-class darts every now and then throwing in a sidearm curveball. I just don't think that's really – I see guys do it. I understand – people have their own style and everything, but I cannot take this guy seriously as like a top 16 player, even though he seems to disagree and decide
that's
to
not
play
his
like one.
That's not his style. That he's forced to do that because of the dartitis he had like 3 or 4 years ago. He had to completely revamp the way he holds the dart and the way he throws the dart just to let it go.
Oh, well, he's doing way better than he was doing because 4 years ago he was cruddy as anything. I mean, he's improved a lot. His results are getting better.
He's
beaten good players. I'm not convinced dartitis is physical.
No, it's mental. That's beside the point. Dartitis is a very mental thing. Your brain is telling you to hold on to the dart when you're trying to let go of the damn thing. So, no, it's completely mental.
Like the yips.
Oh,
yeah, it's just like yips.
It has nothing to do with the yips. Oh, my God.
All right, anyway, Gerwin Price beats Kim Heibricks 10-8.
Okay. Who did Menser beat?
Bunting.
Okay.
Bunting.
We're back to that match?
Well, because, Stephen Bunting came to the PDC with this, I'm the Lakeside champion, and he actually started, he had a little bit of personal momentum maybe. So the first, I want to say 6 months of his arrival to the PDC, he played well. He is progressively playing himself back to the BDO is what it seems to me. You saw that match. Where's Bunting's game right now?
Totally agree. He is actually regressing. It's from the Premier League to the terms he's been playing. He's just completely regressed to a point where he just has to sit down and figure out, okay, what do I need to do to get back to where I was when I won Lakeside? I think that's what he has to do.
Well, he was playing, inferior competition for one.
God, I hate to say no.
Well, look, I mean, that's not a knock on anything. I mean, it's just a fact. And, if you don't agree, then don't agree. But a lot of the top
I don't
level...
disagree. I just hate to call it inferior competition. I think that he understood what his competition was, and he was better than that. And then he realized what his competition is now, and he just lost that confidence kind of a thing.
And the confidence is what I wanted to get to. I mean, to say it's inferior, maybe some people might take that the wrong way. I consider the level of play in the minor leagues inferior to the majors. Right? That's not to say that somehow these are lesser people. They're not inferior
Right.
people, but the level of play is inferior.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a fact. I mean, if you want to use a
Doesn't
different
mean
word
they
than
won't up their
inferior,
play.
yeah. When it comes to bunting, though, it seems to me that you've been watching somebody's confidence, which started out, way up at the top, slowly get chipped away to the point where you might be right. He may need to, take a few weeks at the seaside and kind of think about, what do I need to do? He should have had that talk with himself a year and a half ago, saying, what do I need to do to get better? You're talking about, what do I need to do to get back to the way I was? That's how far he's fallen. I mean, that's kind of sad.
No, I agree.
Okay, I just wanted to get the bunting thing out of the way, since who knows when we'll talk about
nothing
it again.
about Price being Hybrix?
What was the score?
10-8.
Yeah, Price played really well. He actually played a very good match that match.
Gerwin Price is better looking than Kim Hybrick's girlfriend. Am I right about that?
No, you're not right.
Okay.
No.
Because you're really fond of Kim Hybrick's girlfriend, right? No,
Gerwin Price is a really good-looking man.
He
Great
could
body,
really,
all that stuff, but still.
He's ripped. He could be a poster boy that will get more women watching the game, in all seriousness. I mean, the guy is like, if he can get his game up to the point where, he's on equal footing with the top 10 or 12 guys, the sky's the limit for him. And
talk to me about Gerwin Price in day 4. We'll have a great conversation about that.
Well, let's get to day 4. Well, don't skip
let's
day
get to
2 or 3.
Wait, we have to get through day 2 and day 3.
Yeah,
Terry Jenkins beat Justin Pipe 10-7.
Terry Jenkins sighting, and have we seen the last of Justin Pipe? Is the Justin Pipe era officially over, and can we all now, rotate the planet back to its normal speed?
No, because he keeps doing the thing that he does. He keeps playing well enough to get him into these opportunities, but then never gets out of the first round.
Wow.
That's what he does.
Okay.
Ian White wins 10-2 over Daryl Gurney.
Ian White is one of my favorite players because he's so innocuous. And he's just so, I don't want to say that the guy's invisible, but I mean literally, when people talk about great players, they almost never mention him. And I have seen the guy play stellar darts. And he made the World Semifinals a year or two ago? I mean, he lost to Wright, I think. No one ever talks about him as a great player. When they talk about, who should be in the Premier League, nobody ever mentions Ian White. I mean, the guy's like Parsley.
He just kind of quietly goes with his business. Hey, I'm a PDC player. I'm going to do my thing. There's no negative stuff. There's no positive stuff with that. He just kind of goes up with his business. Yeah, and he's going to make a living playing darts.
I mean, there's a lot to admire about him. It just kind of shocks me how a guy that good can fly under the radar for this long.
Maybe he's just an introvert.
Yeah, well, to each his own. I mean, I like him. I mean, I met him at some PDC things. He'll chat and stuff. I mean, he's not averse. He's, like some wallflower or something. I mean, it's just, the way he goes about the game, I'm glad everyone doesn't do that because it might be less interesting to watch. Even his reactions over big shots are kind of minimal compared to a lot of other guys.
Exactly. He just kind of low tone, do his thing.
Yeah.
Are we done?
Yes.
Okay. Now into the
dead air means we're done.
The evening session.
Okay.
So I pray for dead air. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
constantly.
exactly.
I'm sure.
Mervyn King beats James Wade 10-5.
Now here's a and here again, Mervyn King, the thing that wouldn't leave, right?
Yeah.
Sits on the couch, wants to make a long distance phone call. You haven't seen the guy in I don't know how long. And then all of a sudden, it's just see you, James. And not even close. And how well did Mervyn play?
Mervyn played pretty well. I mean, in fairness, James never actually looked settled in, which is kind of weird because he's kind of the machine. He just kind of goes in and does his thing. But if you watched his darts hit the dartboard, he just never looked settled in. He just never looked very comfortable in that match. He already knew he was going to lose.
Yeah, that's an odd I wonder if he actually felt that way. I've seen him diffident like that. I've seen him look like he doesn't care and all this other stuff, and I don't know if that's some weird mental defense mechanism to, get the stress off you or something, but, his body language half the time is like, how could you bet on this guy? He doesn't look like he'd ever bet on himself.
He looked terribly off.
Yeah. Well, you do have bad days. I mean, and, you pick, obviously.
Leave the practice board, you're like, I have no chance.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I've had days like that.
I don't know. I mean, I've had great practices and then went and stunk, and had bad practices and went and played brilliant. So I think everybody's been through that. So I don't, unless, you're in the practice room and this guy can't miss, and you start like losing your confidence while you're practicing.
Watching him.
Yeah, you're kind of watching him, and you're like, I don't know how I'm supposed to beat this guy.
Because you are watching him. The boards are right next to each other.
It's like Mike Tyson against Mike Spinks, where Tyson's beating up all the lockers, and by the time they came out for the fight, Spinks was terrified.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I can't imagine, Mervyn King and Mike Tyson, not really a match, separated at birth kind of thing, but.
Adrian Lewis wins 10-6 over Mark Webster.
Oh, somebody in the chat room said something. Is Webster falling down even more now? I mean, is it like really ridiculous?
He's still fighting his stroke, and again, we bring up another case of dartitis, where he is. It seems like when he's throwing, he's falling more to the right now every time that he throws, just to get himself centered and just trying to hit a shot. He's fighting every dart he throws. So the fact that he can actually do it at this level and still put the scores up that he does is amazing, but he's fighting some inner demons right now.
When you have to make such drastic changes to your form to get the ball over the plate, I think that's the time when you need to stop. And kind of like let your body kind of forget whatever it's thinking so you can get back to throwing naturally. I think you're going to keep trotting yourself out there and let your fundamentals get worse and worse and worse. How do you ever recover from that?
Yeah, sometimes, I don't know, me, I just step away from the board I say, hey, I'm not doing tournaments, I'm not practicing, I'm not playing league, I'm not doing anything for X number of time. And then just don't even think about it. I don't know. It seems like that's just such an uphill battle. And he's been battling it for a long time. This is not new. He's been battling this for years.
Wow. So, I can't believe he's still around if you watch him play. I mean, it's painful. I mean, you feel bad for the guy, but
yeah.
I don't, especially a format like this, I don't know how he can, I guess, if it's a race to 6, he can win some matches, but there's no way on earth he's going to win a tournament like this the way he's playing. He's got no chance.
I would have to agree. I just don't see how he can hold together that long.
Right. Yeah, I'm not the only person seeing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Gary Anderson, 10-1 over Alan Norris.
Well, Alan Norris looks to me like he has potential to be a good PDC type player, but that's quite a pasting.
Yeah, I honestly, I think Gary's going to win it this year. I think Gary is just his stroke. It's just automatic. I don't know. I think he's just in the mindset and his stroke and everything that he does. He's just going to just flow through this. Maybe stumble against
There's still
Van
a guy
Gerwen,
named Van Gerwen in there.
Well, yeah. That's he's going on and on about
playing.
Anderson, and I'm like, I don't think Van Gerwen's listening. But, but again, eventually you play, and if you outplay him or he gives you some opportunities, he misses a double here or there. Because I've seen Van Gerwen do it. I've seen Van Gerwen go through lulls like everybody else. So he's gettable.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not gettable by everybody.
Right.
He's only gettable by 2 or 3 guys, unless
now,
he's
Mark,
totally stinking, and in which case, then anybody can get him. More or less.
Now, Mark, I agree. I think that if Van Gerwen's on his game, he's the favorite. But if Van Gerwen gives Anderson a shot, any shot at a double, he's probably going to hit it.
Yeah. There's very few people that can score with Van Gerwen, but I would say Anderson's one of them. And Van
he's
Gerwen
playing
knows it
really
too.
well.
I mean, it isn't like he's never beaten him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right, what's next?
And the last match of the evening session on Sunday is Peter Wright, 10-5 over Joe Cullen.
Joe Cullen's a good player in pretty fast company. I mean, I know Cullen's had some good finishes lately, but I don't see him beating a guy like Wright in a long format in a major. I just don't see his game being at that level.
Now, and Peter's throwing really well right now too. I mean, he's pretty comfortable in his own shoes, so he's going to do his same thing. Hopefully, we see him actually win one soon. I think that would be great just for the sport of darts.
To see Peter win one?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to see Peter just win a big one. I don't match play world championship. I think it would just be fun. Everybody seems to like him. He seems to be a really, really, really nice guy. He's colorful. He's very animated. And I think a lot of people are just pulling for him.
Yeah, I would think that that's true. I think he's a great guy. Of the guys that I've met on the PDC tour, like the guys that were like the friendliest to me and the nicest to me, he's definitely up there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I always liked him.
Would you like to?
He's comfortable. I mean, he gets to wear pajama bottoms.
Would you like to finish the last 2 days, or would you like to take our last break?
Let's run through them. Let's run through the last 2 days.
Monday, Yelly Clausen loses to Steve Beaton 10-6.
Yeah, that's the one Martel was like. I think I got blocked again on Twitter by Martel because I insulted Martel because Martel's like, well, I don't see how Beaton wins this match, and of course then Beaton wins it. So
Beaton just absolutely played fabulous. He played out of his shoes. He played like the old Beaton on this match. That's just the way it went down.
He's the one guy from the old days, like from the 90s, that not only is still around, but has managed to actually improve his game. All the guys from like the Ronnie Baxters and the Kevin Painters and the Alan Warreners and just name the guys that were, Rod Harrington, whatever. Guys that were big in the 90s all kind of went away. Peter Manley and stuff, they're managing players. Dennis Smith, all these guys. But, Beaton's the guy that was of that whole, generation who's like, no, I can still do this. He's got a simple stroke, he knows how to play.
I think his mindset is that, you know what? I don't have to win every event. I don't have to win any events. I just have to place top 16, top 8. I'm going to make a good living doing this, and I'm the bronze Adonis. That'd be okay.
All right. I'll go with that.
Some of these nicknames, I just don't know how people
The
actually.
bronze Adonis is the greatest nickname
he's
ever.
not the
I'm
greatest.
sorry.
Oh,
It's the
please.
greatest.
All right.
God.
Brendan Dolan beats Raymond Van Barneveld.
Yeah, so
10-7.
T-Rex gets Barney. You were talking about this one earlier. You thought, did Barney look funny or off or something?
He just never looked comfortable. It's one of those things where you can't. So here's the thing: you can't look at Van Barneveld and look at his face when he's throwing. Look at everything else that is happening. Look at how his darts are landing in the dartboard. Look at where
That's
they're
always a good
landing in
tell.
the dartboard.
Yeah,
and that's how you tell whether he's really on or off, because his face is always going to be just stone cold because he's just smooth, and that's just the way he looks. And he just never looked comfortable.
Never looked
what?
comfortable. Phlegmatic.
Phlegmatic?
Phlegmatic.
Phlegmatic? What does that mean?
Nobody talks like that anymore.
Sounds
That's
like
a
you got
word
something
from
in your
like
throat.
an English novel in the
Phlegmatic.
1920s. Yeah. Well,
All
let's
right.
move on.
Phil Taylor beats Robbie Green 10-8.
10-8.
That was a fun match to watch.
What made it fun?
It's. Let me think. Let me get back to it for a second. It seems like Phil was always on his game, and was just hitting every shot. But Robbie would never give up. He'd hit the shot when he had to hit the shot. That always pressed Phil, and it's Phil that's pressing everybody else, especially in this format where you're going, let's play 5, and I only need to win this 3-2, and let's play 5, and I only need to win this 3-2, and you keep kind of doing that thing that he's learned to do over all these years, and Robbie didn't let him get away with that. He kind of just hung in there, hit the shot when he had to hit it. It was actually very entertaining.
But Phil was kind of always ahead.
Yes. Phil was still always in his spot. He was always in his element. He knew exactly what he had to do. He was just being Phil.
Okay.
Still entertaining though.
Yeah.
And the last match of Monday, Michael Smith beats Simon Whitlock 10-6.
Yeah, I believe the Simon Whitlock era. I think we could close the book on that one too. I haven't seen this guy play consistently well in 2 years. When was the last time you saw Whitlock play really good for like an entire event?
Not recently, that's for sure.
I mean, I don't know how far he's fallen, but at one point he was top 4. He was in the Premier League like 2 years ago. I mean, he was in the conversation all the time.
I think you'll see Anderson overtake him as the #1 Australian player soon.
Soon?
I would hope so.
Okay. Well, going to have Kyle Anderson, nowhere near as accomplished as Simon Whitlock. I think that the comment there is just how far Whitlock has fallen. I mean, he's been in free fall now for 2 years.
Well, that's fine, but it means as long as Anderson plays consistently and Whitlock continues to fall, Anderson still takes over that top Australian player.
Right. Well,
by default.
Yeah, I mean,
default,
but still. But he's not going to be where Whitlock was, right? Without like vastly improving. I mean, Whitlock for a while was just playing great, just great.
That concludes the first round.
That's it.
We've made it through. They played the 4 second round matches today.
Well,
we only have one more day to go.
Yeah, let's go through them.
Okay. Dave Chisnell beat Robert Thornton 11-2. No problem.
11-2.
11-2.
Chizzy was on fire today.
Yeah, well, when he's scoring well, he's very tough to beat. And what was the thing? Somebody in the chat room, what did they say? Thornton's always looking for his next excuse or something?
Yeah, well, he's always looking for, basically, looking for an excuse to somebody else's fault or something.
What do you make of that? That he's looking to lose or that he's looking
No, he's looking for a reason why he lost.
I just found that it seemed like a kind of a good line, but I didn't really understand what they meant. Can you find it?
Is constantly a man in search of an excuse.
A man in what does that mean? A man in search of an excuse. I couldn't quite figure out what that meant.
It means he's always looking for a reason why he lost.
Albeit not being his
fault.
A reason, but
right.
You're looking to blame someone else for your
not
loss.
His fault.
Is that,
yeah.
I agree with both of you. That's exactly the case.
That I'm not saying. I'm just trying to figure out what the guy in the chat room said. You think that he's looking? What
constantly looking constantly looking for an excuse.
Okay. Excuses are easy to find. I don't know what.
Well, right. It's not saying that they're difficult to find. He says, but he's always going to turn around and look for an excuse why this happened.
You got beat 11-2, where the guy's on fire.
Well, yeah,
I mean, you don't have to
got
look
an ingrown
that
toenail
hard
or something. Who knows what his excuse is going to be in that situation? But
Sunspots.
He's going to find one. Yeah, the sun was in my eyes.
Have you ever seen Super Troopers?
Oh my God, one of the dumbest movies ever made in the entire world.
Ever made. Horrible.
But so,
I
and
never
by the way,
understood the meow thing until today.
I've seen it once. It was so stupid. I don't know anything about that movie.
Okay.
Quote.
I finally figured out the meow thing today.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I just know I can never watch that movie again.
Meow. The rule is that you have to begin and end every sentence with meow.
That's is in the movie?
Yeah.
Meow. Yes, it's in the movie. Meow.
Oh my God.
It's so
now I really know I hated
so
the damn thing.
Okay.
Peter Wright, 11-6 over Ian White.
Peter Wright, 11-6 over Ian White.
Correct.
Okay, I would have thought that would be a little closer. Those guys have had some interesting battles.
Peter Wright, he's still, again, he's playing. He's doing exactly what he does. He really, really just needs to win one for everybody, and that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, when you see Peter Wright playing well, you see a guy who's, very relaxed, kind of not cocky but confident, and not really worried about too much. He's got a semi-smile on his face, and he just kind of goes about his business. I mean, he always looks relaxed.
I love listening to Wayne Martel just kind of go, he seemed to have waited a little long on that third dart on that double. I'm like, he does that all the time, right? And he hits it every time.
I am so tired of Wayne Martle. I just literally, my eyes just shut when you said Wayne Martle, and I was like, oh,
I'm sorry, I apologize, but it just astounds me. It's like, okay, can't you just follow what this guy does? Peter Wright on his third dart on a double, when he has to hit it, waits just that extra little bit and then hits it. That's what he does.
You know, earlier when I was talking about, like, you know, there's certain kind of players where, like, if you're on 211 and you throw a 180 to leave 31, you'll throw them off. Martle's one of those guys. Martle will turn around and be like, well, what'd you leave 31 for? And I would probably say something like, it's my favorite single dart out, and have him go back to the line. Wait, it's not a single dart out. And then he'll throw and miss. He's the kind of guy that would do that. All right.
And then you have Van Gerwen taking care of Kyle Anderson 11-3.
11-3. Kyle's got a long way to go, but it's not fair to compare anybody really to MVG or Phil or
right.
You know,
Agreed.
the guys that are on that raft at the top of the ticket. You know what I mean? You don't mind me mixing metaphors. It's
and
late.
I don't mind. And your last match, Adrian Lewis takes care of Gerwin Price 11-5.
11-5. Well, those are convincing.
Do you know the whole hype
scores
that led up to this?
I saw something. It was actually kind of funny on Twitter with the boxing match with their heads on it. In a real boxing match, there wouldn't be much left of Adrian Lewis if he fought Gerwin Price. But on the dartboard, it's, you know, not a surprising result. I mean,
so after Adrian won his last match, they asked him about Gerwin Price and Gerwin Price taking him out of the match play last year, and he goes, "Oh, what has he done since then? He hasn't done anything. It's okay. I'm going to be fine." That's how he handled it. And then there was this whole Twitter war between the people that follow Adrian and the people that follow Gerwin, and it went back and forth and back and forth, and the PDC just ramped this thing up to do this great thing, and then it was a complete flop. It was brilliant.
Because Gerwin Price isn't anywhere near the player that 80 is. I mean, let's face it. It was like when Phil I almost said Phil Mickelson. When Phil Nicholson came out and was like, I'm the what was his nickname? He gave himself some nickname like the awesome.
No idea.
He gave himself some stupid nickname, and then was like, I'm going to be the bad boy of darts, and then was like, oh, I'm going to be Phil Taylor, and he'd give these interviews, well, he better not leave me double 16, you know. And I'm just like, is this guy serious?
So
anybody's buying
this is what's great about this.
His game could never come close to matching the hype.
The PDC was amping this thing up. Like, they showed the old match with Adrian Lewis going, Peter Manley, where he throws that no look 1080, and I mean, they're just bringing all this stuff up. And then to the conversation that we had, you know, a few weeks ago about what matches have you seen for PDC real tournaments that were not over 90, and this was one of them.
One of the matches where the scores were really low. You said it was in the low 80s.
Low 80s. Adrian Lewis 84.55. Gerwin Price 82.06.
Yeah, see, it's weird. It's kind of like one of those matches where you're playing on a different level now. There's like all this added pressure from
all of the shit from
this garbage that goes on, where all of a sudden it's not just a normal match anymore.
No, it's not. It was so much more. And if you watch the match was so much fun to watch because Adrian wins the first three. Adrian walks, so they do the walk-on thing. Adrian walks up and looks Gerwin straight in the eyes and shakes his hand. Gerwin looks away. He's not even looking, not making eye contact. And then Gerwin, after the warm-up, before the first leg, puts his fist up while Adrian's getting ready to throw darts. And Adrian says, okay, I have to acknowledge. And he does his thing and bumps him on the fist. And it was that whole way the whole time. It was one of the most entertaining matches I've seen all year.
Okay. Well, everybody can check those out like on the PDC archive. I assume they're up by now. They probably won't have the whole matches, but they'll have the highlights, I'm sure. I don't know what kind of highlights you're going to get with a guys averaging in the low 80s. Outshots, you know.
Well, they had a couple of legs where they missed 6 or 7 darts at double. It was bad.
A little extra pressure, and all of a sudden the doubles don't go in.
Exactly. It was a lot of fun. It was terribly entertaining.
That happened to me last night for the first time in I don't know how long. At one point, I wired 3 straight double 18s.
I was going to say, what, your darts were terribly entertaining?
Well, I just, no, I mean, it was just the way I missed. I was like, I don't remember doing this in so long. I'm sure I did. I just sort of, kind of forgot. Where they're all just, none of those went in. You can't be serious. And I changed to these hypo points now, so I can throw, like, the world's tightest groups. I mean, it's, like, absurd how tight I can get these darts now. I went to longer points. I went to hypo points. So it's actually pretty cool. Where are we on time? Because
we are
stuff to
way
talk
over.
About.
We're due for break.
We're going to come back. We'll take a look in the chat room real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. You're listening to Dart Talk. We'll be right back.
You are now and forevermore warned that you consume this show at your own risk, and that Dart Talk cannot be brought to justice in any court or by any government, including and not restricted to the grand spaghetti monster of the Triple 20.
Okay, back for the last segment of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official console distributor. Thanks to everybody in the chat room and to James Kinney for joining us.
Paul Nicholson, the asset.
Yeah, they should have just got rid of the last syllable, and it would have been fine.
I hate that guy.
Say again?
I hate that guy.
He's a nice guy. I mean, I get you're trying to create a niche for yourself and stuff, but quite frankly, his darts could never.
It didn't work.
I spanked him.
It didn't work.
If I spank you at a PDC thing, you can't go running around challenging Phil Taylor. I'm sorry.
No,
you got to draw the line somewhere. We're not going to have time to get to a lot of the stuff you wanted to get to, James, because we have upload limitations on the audio.
Okay.
And I don't like chopping the audio in two. So
this is like the last act of a late night talk show being bumped because the other interviews went too long.
Can we talk CDC for like 5 seconds?
Sure.
So first things first.
We'll have you on next week, though.
Yeah, you can come on next week, and we could talk about this next Tuesday.
Okay.
And that's fine. But what did you want to? We interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No worries. I just want to shout out to Philadelphia, the darting community, and they are Philadelphia. They're Eastern Pennsylvania strong. Some great players, very nice people. They did everything they could to make the CDC event something to be just something that should be recognized, and they did a great job. So all the people that promoted it, all the people that played in it, all the people that supported it, it was one of the best. It was the best CDC event, regular event that we've had in this 2 years, and they deserve some recognition.
Well, you'll have to come on next week and tell us about it, and then go through your homework assignment.
How'd you do?
You get another week extension on that.
I did 2 top 16s again, so top 16, top 16.
I saw parts of one of your matches.
Yeah, I'm not practicing right now because I'm trying to do some other things in my personal life, and I'm just doing steady top 16s, and hopefully that gets me to the Continental Cup. I'd be happy with that. So the Continental Cup is going to be held in LA this year, which we're kind of excited about. And hopefully I can maintain my 1 year order of merit and get to that. I'll be happy with that. So
they're having it in Los Angeles?
Yes, they're having it in Los Angeles, which is kind of interesting.
Let me guess, a dart bar like in the Valley, like in Thousand Oaks.
No, this is not a dart bar. I think this, what is it called?
What town's it in?
It's actually in northern Los Angeles. Hold on a second. I can get there. You got like 30 seconds.
Well, okay, we can vamp for 30 seconds.
Okay, you
go
ahead.
Los Angeles
I'll look it
pretty
up.
well because I lived there for like 10 years. And the 10 years I lived there, literally never saw a dartboard. But there was a dart bar not far from where I lived. I just didn't know about it. And it's still there. Okay. Like it's some dive in Hollywood called the Cat and the Fiddle or something. I've literally I've been to like practically every nightclub in LA and never ran across a dart bar. Can you believe that? How good would I have been if I took up darts? Well, I was like 24 when I moved to LA.
You'd probably be the same. You still would have gotten injured at this age, and you'd still be in the same position you are now.
Well, okay, I guess that's one way of looking at it.
So I think this is actually a music venue. It's called the Venue at the Dirty Bull.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's a music venue.
I think I know where this is. I think this is in the Valley, like down past Tarzana in like Woodland Hills or something, or Thousand Oaks or something.
So it's a lot like the Blueberry Hill. We did it last year in St. Louis. It's just this year we're picking a different venue.
Hill.
We have our own dartboards. We have, they give us the space.
It's nothing like Blueberry Hill. It's not on Del Mar. It's in the Valley. If it was Blueberry Hill, it would be on Sunset Boulevard, and I would go just to watch because you haven't really hung out in L.A. in so long.
Okay,
but it's in the Valley. So.
I don't know. I've actually never been to the venue at the Dirty Bowl.
I'm saying this just to tease Irene, so don't take it seriously. I'm sure it's a great venue, and
I'm sure it is.
I'm just surprised. I mean, the CDC was supposedly going to be like a kind of a Midwest between the mountain ranges, and now they're out East Coast, West Coast.
Here's the thing: it is an invitational for a $20,000 tournament. And only 16 players are in it, and we're going to be compensated. We're going to get an expense check for traveling, like last year. We're going to get a chance to play for some money. So
yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I don't think that at that point it seems like it doesn't need to be that regional. They're going to come
right. Yeah, and it's probably you'll be able to get like a really good like stream and video and stuff out of there because I think they're hooked up for all that stuff.
Yeah,
so
El David is
he's out there,
Angeles,
so he'll be all over it. It'll
probably that too. Yeah, he's probably got this whole thing covered. And Peter and Anthony go they've got us covered dart players. So
Yeah,
I think this is the next evolution of what we're going to try and do.
I've got them covered because there was an upper management shakeup at ESPN on Monday, and I sent David Irete, the two guys, the two people he needs to talk to now to get darts on at ESPN. I've identified them. I have their names. I have detailed files.
Okay.
There's no escape. There's no escape for these guys.
Are you
now.
interested in coming back next week, James?
I would love to come back next week. I'll come back every week and talk darts. I love talking darts.
Great. Well,
almost as much as I like playing darts.
Okay, we'll get the camera thing set for next week. I have to come in here. This Windows 10 has changed a lot of the stuff around, but I'll try to get that camera thing going.
Well, you need another. You need another camera. You have to have two cameras, so you need to get a webcam by then.
Oh, I have one. I got cameras all over the place. I have a camera right behind your head. You just don't know about it, man. All right, we'll wrap it up for tonight. Hang on the line, James. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody in the chat room. Jeff, the thing about the
Jeff has left the building.
Jeff has left the building. Next week we will talk about setting up finishes well in advance, which I think that's episode 34. And then we'll get to more detail about the CDC event that went on in Philly over the weekend, and talk about the one coming up in, I think it's in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Ypsi. No Y. The Y is silent. It's Ypsi.
The Y is silent. It's
okay.
Ypsi.
Good to know. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk to you. We will be back next week. So everybody take care.